Aloha and welcome once again to another Paradigm Shift Central Conscious Media Co-op production meeting for Friday, January 25th, 2019. Of course, my name is Brendan, welcoming you back once again. And this is going to be a fun one today. We're going to be talking a lot about live broadcasts. I'm going to be sharing with you guys some updates, some huge like advancements that I was making last night in terms of VR live broadcasts, like 360 video, and also the opportunity to do VR guided meditation stuff. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some of that, but also more so getting feedback from each of you guys here in terms of what are the things that you enjoy about live broadcasts, to be able to get some more ideas on the table as we structure a little bit of a new format for future broadcasts for the Paradigm Shift Central project, to be able to crystallize things and really just make things as fun and as engaging as possible. So of course, as per usual, I'm joined by fellow shifters, members of the Conscious Media Co-op here. So if everybody here wants to gently unmute their microphone and say aloha and good rising to everybody, and of course it could be any time of the day, but hello, welcome, thank you for joining everyone. Go ahead, say hi, make some noise.
Aloha, beautiful beings of light.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, it's Friday. Aren't you guys pumped? Aren't you guys like ready to just like party hard? Just me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good, sweet.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a dance party by the end of this broadcast, so cool. All right. So again, in terms of updates for the project in general, with where we are right now, the website is quite functional. The other things that I need to do with the website as we move into a more official launch within this coming week, which is basically going to be me publishing it through the Instagram and driving the Instagram traffic from my own profile, Mystic Spider-Man, through the website and through to your guys' content, is basically I just have to update a few of the pages, such as like the mission page. I have to do a little bit more writing there. I'm just going to go and make sure that all like the features are working on desktop and mobile as best as possible, and then from there we're just going to be focusing on adding content to the website through the shifter entries. So there's some content that I'm going to go back and add, content that's been on the past website, and of course if anybody here feels that they have something ready to be able to publish between now and the beginning of next week and mid next week, please feel free to let me know. And again, when you're on the website and you have something to publish, just send me a DM through Discord to let me know that you have something ready for review, and always save to draft opposed to save as publish. And again, we'll be doing some feedback there because we want to be able to make sure that we're setting a certain bar in terms of the quality, in terms of the production value for the quest journals, or sorry, quest journals, still calling them quest journals, for the shifter entries that we are making. And so some of the basics behind that are making sure that we always have a picture, and a good picture, like an engaging picture, something that's going to attract the audience's eye and also tell them a little bit about the story. Make sure the title is engaging, make sure that if it's written, it's at least like a 3 to 4 minute read, give or take. It can be longer. And of course, if the videos are in there, make sure that they're properly embedded, and also just making sure that like the way that we're writing is structured in a way that is honoring the audience's time, and it is engaging, and it is thought-provoking, and also a good lead-in for who you are to be able to direct people back to your work. So as we get things set up, part of what I'm going to be doing is and I may be looking for feedback from you guys on this, is basically just like making the regular routine for myself through my Instagram in terms of using the story feature. So every day we would be featuring like a certain quest and a certain shifter entry, a new video, and also like linking people just like into the website in general so that they can find it there, as well as just doing a featured like featured shifters with something that we do through my Instagram stories. So I'll be featuring direct posts from each of you guys throughout the week to be able to link people back to your posts. And yeah, that's kind of just like the basics of it. We'll get more into that stuff a little bit later down the road, but just giving you a general idea of kind of where things are going to be moving. So I'm going to be focusing more on creating momentum through my IG. Things are going to be good on the website, and then we're driving traffic through the website, and then that's going to start developing that relationship between people and the website, where they come to understand and expect and appreciate the content that we as a community are creating as a badass team of conscious media creators. What? Okay, cool. So in terms of live broadcasts, I'll just kind of get into this, and then we'll start going around the circle just with the general question of what do you value about live broadcasts? So We here at Paradigm Shift, we've done a lot of different styles of broadcasts over the years. Again, we have like our basic team roundtable, we have our dream class, our destiny school, our Paradigm Shift admin meetings from back in the day, our guided global meditations as well, even our open mic nights. So there's a lot of variety there. And with what I want to do, really kind of just like opening up to ways that we can make the broadcast better, what we're going to be doing first and foremost with the format moving forward, we're going to begin by keeping the broadcast exclusive to co-op members who are able to immediately join. Now, I do want to be able to change this in the future, because I do still like the idea of having some broadcasts where people can really just join on the fly and they can jump right into the conversation. That is still something I want to be able to do, but for the time being, I also want to be able to the other type of broadcast that we've done is Paradigm Shift Central News, which we've only done like one or two types of these broadcasts before, but I really kind of want to be able to create a structure for the broadcast, which as far as I'm feeling right now, I'm still going to call it like the main one will be Paradigm Shift Central Team Roundtable, but like Team Roundtable will be like the name of the show. So opposed to just saying it's a Team Roundtable, it's literally like Paradigm Shift Central Team Roundtable. Like that is the name of the show. And so within like this show, there's going to be more of a format to it. And we've played with this before. And also in really inviting you to be able to see yourself as like kind of like news reporters, co-hosts, co-facilitators for this style of broadcast. And then within these broadcasts, I also want to be able to include like meditations at the end of the broadcast, even like at the beginning and the end of the broadcast. And again, this is a format that we've already played with. And then sometimes we kind of get like more just open-ended and freestyle and focus on a specific topic. But the idea of the Paradigm Shift Central News that we did was really cool, and I want to figure out a way to kind of like take some of that and combine it into the Team Roundtable concept. But in the Paradigm Shift Central News, part of what we did was to also be able, it was like a 1-hour show, and basically it was like focusing on new content that was published through the website. So that would actually be a part of the Team Roundtable, would also be kind of like featuring new content that has been published this week. So for example, even if somebody has published a new video, we would actually be able to play like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of that video within that broadcast to be able to share it. Because again, you're keeping in mind that maybe not everyone's always engaged with the website, but if they're able to tune in for the Team Roundtable, then they can kind of get the updates for the week in that single hour of listening to the content. And if they're listening on podcasts, on iTunes, they'll still be able to like hear from the audio and hear you guys talking in your video. So keeping that in mind, and then also the opportunity to feature like specific shift entries. So we might read a bit of a shift entry, or we might have somebody themselves reading their own shift entry live on that broadcast. So those are just some of the ideas. And then also within those broadcasts, I also want to give people the invitation to talk about, you know, what are the ways they're helping shift consciousness. So talk about the projects that you're working on, and as well as talking about like the local Paradigm Shift community events or any sort of conscious community event that you're involved with. And again, even with the project right now, we're really focusing more on the media. So like the whole idea of encouraging people to create the physical Paradigm Shift communities, that still exists, but we're just kind of focusing more on the media, and then we'll kind of like dovetail more into that as we go on a little bit later down the road. But yeah, basically that's kind of the format. Without it being overly complicated, I want to create the Team Roundtable where it functions kind of like a news broadcast, where we're giving, you know, we're inviting people to the roundtable. We're featuring content that's been published on the website within that week. We're giving co-op members the opportunity to share about the things that they're doing to help shift consciousness, and also being able to just like have open discussion about a certain topic, ideally picked ahead of time, and then kind of concluding with a meditation. And if we can really tailor this, like this should be a broadcast that could be basically like an hour and a half. And then down the road, like we still would have our other types of broadcasts. So we would still have Dream Class, for example. We would still have Destiny School, for example. And Destiny School is basically a broadcast where we focus on one specific topic. And the next one that we actually have, which is planned for the last Thursday of February, it's always the last Thursday of each month, is going to be one about renowned spiritual teachers. So that was a topic that I specifically chose because I think that would be a great opportunity for us to research some spiritual teachers of the past, to get a little bit of information, and then meant to be able to create this awesome package for the audience where they're able to tune into this one broadcast and learn about like 15 or 20 different teachers and a bit about their perspectives and their philosophy. So it'll be like a bit of like a history lesson. But again, we as students of that broadcast will be able to kind of create and share some of our research going into it. So that's going to be at the end of February. And then again, the dream classes are just focusing specifically about dreams and meditation and metaphysics and lucid dreaming and that topic, and encouraging people to get involved with their dream practice, because that's always something that I'm very passionate about. And having those broadcasts encourages everyone in the community to keep on their game in terms of like being interested in the dream discussions. And then again, we will still have the guided full moon meditations. We're moving those from every Sunday to once a month, focusing on the full moon. But again, we would still have some forms of meditation during the team roundtables at the beginning and the end, and those wouldn't always be me, of course. Like that would be the opportunity for anybody within the co-op to lead the broadcast at the end of, or lead the meditation at the end of that broadcast. And the other thing that I just want to mention in terms of like, that would be kind of like, again, our Thursday broadcast slot, it would be kind of like, you know, pretty official. But in between that, I still want to be able to play around with doing regular Instagram live broadcasts as well. And this was an idea that I had from a while back. We did one and I really enjoyed it, but it was basically the rough name for it was just called Shooting the Shift. And basically it was like a 20-minute little broadcast on Instagram live that, this is the idea, that would be scheduled at a certain time. I think maybe even just like twice a week would be the idea, like maybe like Monday and Wednesday or something like that. I haven't fully decided. Again, this is where feedback is appreciated. But basically it would be an idea where within that 20-minute period, I'm inviting 2 people on air sequentially, one at a time, to be able to come on air and to literally just like share their voice with the audience and to talk about the ways that they're helping shift consciousness. So it'd be kind of like a little mini piece of what we kind of do within the team roundtable. But again, that would also be for people who wouldn't necessarily be co-op members. So that would be like somebody who jumps on Instagram at that time, and you know, we invite them, we give them that platform, and it's an awesome opportunity for them to get their voice out and also for them to kind of connect with us as a team. And then again, we would just like have a 20-minute schedule of that, 20-ish minutes, and then 2 people would come in, talk about stuff, and then would be like, all right, awesome, thanks for joining in everyone, see you again next time. And that would kind of create this relationship where people would be like, wow, that's really cool, I want to see that, because I never know who's going to be on as well. I also have the opportunity to be able to jump in on that too. So that's kind of one idea. And then the other idea in terms of live broadcasts that I also want to play with, again, trying not to put too much on my plate, and this is an idea that I've had for a while, but it would basically be a show in the morning that I want to call Waking Up with Wolf. And basically this would be a very casual live broadcast on Instagram. And the ideal version of this, if I could, you know, manage this, is to literally be something that would be like Monday to Friday every morning at 9 a.m. And it would be, again, just like 15-20 minutes of, in the morning, me guiding people through like a short morning ritual. That would basically be like a little bit of body movement, a little bit of discussion, and a little bit of meditation. And that would pretty much be it. So it would just kind of be like something, yeah, for myself, that would be a great routine to just kind of do, connect with people, build that relationship with the audience, and also inviting other people to make that a part of their routine as well, which I feel would be very powerful and just encouraging more productivity and self-mastery and everything like that. So again, those are kind of the ideas that are floating around in my head in terms of live broadcasts, and I'm just putting those out there. If you guys have feedback on that, what would you like to see? And again, what do you value in a live broadcast? And the other thing, of course, that I mentioned is the potential to do VR 360 guided meditation broadcast. So I was playing around with some graphic stuff last night and getting things testing with the VR, and I got it working enough that I'm quite happy with it. The resolution isn't perfect, but that's just kind of where VR is right now in terms of YouTube compression issues. But it's a super, super exciting thing. And again, for everyone here listening to this broadcast, production co-op members and otherwise, inviting you to get one of those like 360 VR goggles that you put your phone into, if you know what I'm talking about. They kind of have like the cardboard box ones, but there's other plastic ones that you can get for like $15. And I encourage you to get one of those that way. So like as we start getting into these VR guided meditations, you'll be able to experience these, and we'll be able to upload them as like recordings as well, so you can listen to them. And I'm already in the process of producing these, as I mentioned earlier in last week that I wanted to do, and I'm really excited to be able to share those with you once they're ready to go. So again, the VR meditation would be just another opportunity in terms of the live broadcast. So think about for you guys, what what are the type of things that you would like to see on a on a live broadcast that maybe you haven't seen before? You know, what type of things do you enjoy listening to? What type of things do you enjoy being a part of? What type of things do you feel would serve the community? And also, this is an idea just to keep things in mind for the overarching part of the project, and then I'll pass the talking stick after this, is with every broadcast that we do, my mindset into it is basically, how is this broadcast helping move the story forward? That's kind of the idea. So instead of it just being like super kind of like casual, and if people miss it, it's not a big deal. Instead, it's like each broadcast is kind of like featuring content that's been created, anticipating new like things that are coming out for the community, sharing people's stories, creating that story, and again, moving the bigger story forward of our connection as a team and our abilities as creators and our relationship with the audience. So kind of keep that in mind. What are some things live broadcast wise that can be useful for moving that bigger story forward? And again, that bigger story is encouraging people to choose to be the change they wish to see, helping activate conscious creators, helping encourage people to take real world action and build local conscious community where they are, and to just continue to be a part of this very, very powerful community and story that we are weaving together. So that's all I have to share for now, and I'm ready to pass the talking stick around. So if anybody here wants to unmute themselves, and again, what do you value about live broadcasts? And later in the broadcast, just because I don't want to stop myself now, I'll share with you guys some like specific options for like the different ways in which you can do live broadcasts, like other than just like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. There's like little tweaks and stuff like that, but I'll mention those a little bit later in the end. There's like some cool stuff that you probably don't even know about. So whoever wants to unmute themselves first, please feel free to go ahead and quickly just say your name and go ahead and share a little bit about what do you value about live broadcasts. So whoever would like to go first, please feel free to go right ahead and unmute yourself, and we will pass the talking stick over to you. So Rick or Lori? Lori? Okay, Lori, go ahead. We'll pass it over to you first.
Hi.
Good, Rising.
I would love to have a very short meditation visualization in these meetings during the week, not just other time, just to kind of bring the group into the now. That's my only suggestion right now.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Lori. And yes, absolutely. That is something that I appreciate the reminder for, because I do think just like those little moments of us connecting with our breath, even just at the end of these broadcasts, is very useful.
Just
so
to know we're really taking that inner time all together, though. As humans, I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will definitely make a note to do that more regularly. So thank you, Lori. Cool. Okay. And Rick, if you want to go next, go ahead.
I appreciate that. The going live for me is like there's no going back. So it is the epitome of authenticity, and you can just look. I mean, so when you're reviewing, when you're going back and saying, okay, what was that? What was the experience like? Man, so it takes doing these live videos for me. It's something I've continued to practice, being in the now, being present, and just being vulnerable, because it is a level of, there's no going back, and you are just in absolute vulnerability to whatever's coming your way, and so you have to be vulnerable to be able to go live, and that's what I appreciate about going live.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, that's again, like I agree. I think lives are very valuable because in terms of practice, they can be very potent to just kind of show us what value we have to offer. And that's kind of, again, like we're with the Paradigm Shift broadcast, even with these production meetings, I always want to remind you, each and every one of you, that, this is all just practice. Even just us talking here, this kind of gets us more into that state where we're using our voice. And then as we start getting more familiar with talking and having that confidence build, then we will be able to just like hop on those lives and be really authentic, and that's just something in itself that maybe, other people here just want to observe and talk about, that authenticity that can come through in a live broadcast, and what it's like when it's not there, and like what it feels like when it's not there. So I think you can kind of understand where, like, you've probably seen that where like some people, they kind of go live and like and this isn't a judgment thing, but you can kind of tell they kind of like maybe talk in a certain way, whereas like there's another way that it can be done where you're just kind of, I mean, I guess that's the idea. There's different styles in which you can show up for a live broadcast. You can kind of show up as like this characterized version of yourself, but at the same time you can also kind of show up as like this very kind of like chill, calm, relaxed version of yourself as well. And again, I invite people to think about that, knowing that each broadcast that you're doing, knowing that each person here is going to be potentially getting into the habit of doing these live broadcasts, which I encourage you to do. You have to kind of think, you know, like, okay, you're the host of this space, you're the host of this circle, you're the host of your own show for a little bit. How do you show up to that? How do you just kind of like, what do you want the audience to kind of be able to see you as, and how does that relate? So yeah, I love that idea, the vulnerability, and again, just the experience of being able to see ourselves growth by putting ourselves in that vulnerability. Absolutely, Rick. Okay, let's keep passing talking, stick around. Anybody else? Tamara, go right ahead. And Tamara, I'm not hearing anything just yet, so I think you might just have to click a button. And is anybody else hearing Tamara? I don't think so. Am I just not hearing Tamara?
No, I can't hear her.
No, okay, so Tamara, maybe just double check, but otherwise we'll have to pass it to Manders, so.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Tamara, maybe just try rejoin. And I think that's happened before. So
yeah, I've had to do that before.
Yeah. Okay. Manders, go ahead if you're willing to go next.
Yeah, I definitely think they're a lot different. I mean, the live broadcasts as opposed to like edited and you know, ones that have been previously recorded, there's a huge difference. I really like in the live broadcast how unpredictable it can be. Sometimes it can get really interesting, and sometimes you can have some really funny moments. But one of the best things about it, I think, is that the audience gets to interact with the host. So like with the whole chats, and you know, when you do have other people that aren't on the team in there, it's just nice that you get to interact with what people are watching. Like that's one of the things whenever people do like the IG lives, I'm always like all excited that when they answer like stuff that I ask them and things like that, you know, it's pretty exciting. Also, one of the things that I was going to suggest is maybe in the broadcast finding poetry to feature, either from team members, or I mean, it could just even be like spiritual poetry from Rumi or something, you know, just a short poem to feature in the broadcast at some point. And then you were talking about your morning rituals that you were gonna be doing in the future as well. And I was just gonna say, talk to Tam, Gabe, and Yuga are all big on like Tai Chi and Qigong. And I know that they all really are interested in collaborating on stuff like that. Well, I don't know about Tam, but I know Gabe and Yuga are.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Manders. That's wonderful feedback. And yeah, I'm trying to find my old document that I have here from the routine that we used to do for the team roundtables. But absolutely, it's cool that you mentioned that, because like part of the old routine that we did was to also include poetry as well. Like we kind of like there was also the section for it was the opportunity for people to be able to share poetry, as well as for people to be able to share a bit about like dream recall and stuff like that. So it's kind of like kind of like a micro version of like dream class within the broadcast kind of thing. And we really kind of had this like very specific routine. So I like the idea of kind of like finding a good medium to be able to still bring some of those elements in. But yeah, you know, just kind of like those opportunities just to feature that creativity in the community, I think is incredibly valuable, because again, you know, really people you never know how much that means to them for them to be able to have their content like featured, and or just the opportunity for them to be able to share their voice and to be heard. It's a very powerful thing, you know, like.
Well, yeah, and that'll also, I think, help boost viewers too. So, like, if you say ahead of time, "Hey, we're gonna feature your poem in our broadcast. Make sure all your friends are watching." They can be like, "Oh yeah," so they'll tell everybody, you know, to watch.
Totally, absolutely. And how long do you feel is like, just off the top of your head, Manders, and anybody else, you can put this into your answer as well. How long do you feel is like a healthy length for a broadcast that you would tune in for?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that some of them got a little long, but I would say an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes. That's probably the most I would go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, again, you know, like that's just like honoring our own energy, and sometimes the conversation goes longer. Like for Destiny schools, there's just so much to talk about, and I'm okay with those going longer. But yeah, I agree. Like I like getting into the habit of just kind of like keeping things short, because otherwise people are going to be like, oh crap, another 5-hour broadcast. Like I don't have time to listen to all of this. Maybe I'll listen to the first 90 minutes. So it's like making sure that people aren't missing out just because the broadcast is longer, but then having longer broadcasts when it's relative. So yeah. Lori, did you have something you wanted to add there? I saw your mic.
Yeah, I was just saying if it's too long, it's hard. It pushes people away, I think, if it's too long, unless we know up front that it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, unless they know ahead of time. Yeah. So I agree. So again, you know, like that idea also just helps keep things for us like concise, so that we're kind of, and I think like having that routine in the broadcast helps with that. And that's where I kind of want to decide on what that new routine is going to be for next week's broadcast, for example. So, and then I'll be able to post that for you guys ahead of time. So yeah, again, we kind of we had something similar to that back in the day, and then we kind of just got more casual intentionally, and now I'm kind of finding that like medium as well. So cool. Manders, was there anything else, or Tamara, did you want to jump in? I think Tamara, your mic's working now.
Can you guys hear me now?
Now we can. Yes.
You guys can hear me now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or no?
Yep.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Well, what I really appreciate about live broadcasts is the energy exchange that occurs. You know, I've tried to do one of your meditations after the live broadcast, and it's not nearly as powerful as when we do it as a group. So I really appreciate the energy exchange. They're very uplifting. As far as ideas for the show, I think it would be really neat to maybe do like a divination kind of open mic where people can practice different ways of getting messages from spirit, and maybe even including the audience by saying, you know, write your questions, and as team members get like guidance from spirit for a message for you, they can either draw a card, they can do a tea leaf reading or candle wax reading, or some sort of divination would kind of be neat, and it would give people within the group an opportunity to practice their gifts.
Awesome. Thank you, Tamara. I love that idea. And yeah, absolutely. Like, again, going back to our broadcasts that we've done in the past, we have incorporated like our team tarot readings into it. But I do like the idea of, using the broadcast as a chance for us as a community to be of service, you know, for us as like a team, the core team, to practice being of service. So yeah, I do like that idea of, maybe just like, finding a way that will be able to kind of like moderate people submitting something, or maybe it would just be like a team reading. Excuse me. Bless me.
Bless you.
Bless me. Bless me, please. Soul's trying to escape right out of my body. But
your ancestors are speaking to you.
That's what that was. That was an omen right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Divination coming through a sneeze. But yeah, I think again, I think that's something definitely to brainstorm a little bit more. What would be like a cool way for people within the team to practice some form of service divination reading for people within the community? Well, again, kind of like also kind of tailoring it in a way that's gonna like honor the energy being offered as well. So like we would almost kind of have to like make sure that there's like a theme specifically made clear ahead of time or something.
I follow these two girls who do once a week. They do an intuitive live on Instagram, and they have hundreds of people. So literally they go through and just pick out random comments that spirit is speaking to them, that they have a message for that person. because they have hundreds of questions coming in. They can't get to them all. They just go with what they're intuitively guided to say, but they're channelers. So they don't use cards or anything. They're just channeling information from the other side for whoever's asking the question. So something like that, where it's just kind of like a random thing. Although I guess people could get frustrated if they don't get their questions answered. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a double-edged thing and stuff like that. And and again, you know, like I don't like, for a part of the show, it's okay to kind of create a compartmentalized aspect for that purpose. But again, you know, like I wouldn't want the show itself to be just people showing up and being like, give me a reading and sort of thing, you know, because I see that sometimes, and people just kind of get like very just like, they're like, I need that reading sort of thing. And
well, the nice thing is though, is if people come and they really do want a reading, if we include all the links to the people who give readings, it could bring in clients for them.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking as I was saying that myself. I agree. Like, I think the purpose of doing that is also, again, to like highlight you guys so that it's like a way for people to continue to follow up with you. So it's like, okay, here's a little taste of what, you know, Tamara or Manders or anybody else can offer, and be sure to follow up with them and use the promo code Paradigm Shift to get 15% off your next session or something like that, you know, like straight up.
Something like that. Yeah.
And that's, and I mean, that's like, just kind of jumping into another path here. Again, that's something that we've played around with in the past, is like ways for the audience to be able to receive rewards by listening. So for example, in the past, we literally when Paradigm Shift Radio was just Paradigm Shift Radio back in like 2012, 13, 14, 15, we basically had a thing where people sent like their name to the Paradigm Shift Central radio page, and then during the broadcast I would like write down the names and then like put them in a little jar and pull one from the jar, and then that person would get like a small shifter booster kit that we would send them. So you'd get some shift buttons that we would send them. So again, it was kind of one of those things where it's like you have to be tuned in live in order for your chance to be able to win. So I mean, that could be a thing that we can want to do as well, right? Like kind of creating that kind of incentive for people to tune in, knowing that they could win something. So yeah, I'm open to kind of like other ideas there. And again, like that could also be again, you know, it could be like winning a session with someone on the team as well, right? Which is kind of like a cool way to lead people in. So
and if we did something like that, we could have everybody who does divination do a general overall energetic reading for like the week, and have people tune into that, but then offer, if you tune in, we're going to give you guys like a special word or code or something where we can put you into a draw to get a personalized reading. That could work too.
Yeah, something like that, without it being complicated, like finding that like simple way to be able to do it. It may be something where like it could be something where like again, you know, we kind of have a certain member in the community chosen ahead of time who is going to kind of be our featured reader for that broadcast, and we would kind of like alternate through the broadcast, so each person would kind of get the time in the spotlight, and then something along the lines of like, okay, for everyone tuned into this broadcast, like message this person on Instagram now and let them know that you were tuned in, and then the first like 2 people to message will get like a half off reading or something. But then if more people message, then that's like still like a lead for those people to still be connected with that person anyways, or something. Or maybe even just like anybody who messages just gets like a 10% off or something like that. Or like a 2 for 1 is always kind of like a good deal, because then if you're giving them a 2 for 1 thing, then that means that they still have to make that first purchase as well. So that's something where like I think maybe it would be up to the person who we're featuring to kind of choose what their offer would be, but kind of coordinating it through Instagram as a place for them to message them, and then it kind of takes place on the side after the broadcast, opposed to me facilitating like who the winner is. That could be a thing too. Yeah, and yeah, again, you know, this is good though, just brainstorming. So go ahead.
Lastly, I just wanted to add how much I like the idea of like a news broadcast, because a lot of us have, I mean, we're overlapping our niches, but a lot of us have specific niches. So if you had a news broadcast where like each person was just kind of doing a highlight of something in their niche and just kind of making it like a news show is a really great idea. I love that. So I just wanted to compliment it.
Totally, yeah. And yeah, like again, like finding that kind of, it would be like a mix between Paradigm Shift Central News and Team Roundtable, and kind of creating something a little bit different. And the only reason for that is because if we could do like multiple broadcasts in a week, that would be great. But unfortunately, the weeks are only 7 days long, and when it comes to promotion, it can be challenging to kind of like promote 2 broadcasts in 1 week, especially like trying to like find the time, the distance between them, and everything like that. That's like one broadcast takes up a decent amount of production time leading into it, because you want to make sure that people are aware of it. So again, whereas originally I was playing around with this idea of like having Paradigm Shift Central News on Wednesdays at like 3 p.m. and then still have the broadcast on Thursdays, that is just too much. And again, it's just like, so just kind of focusing on that, but then at the same time, still in place of kind of like the Paradigm Shift Central News, still having like Shooting the Shift, as we're calling it right now, as something that's a little bit more casual. That would be something where we're able to just jump in, where it really doesn't take like too much promotion and planning ahead of time. It's just kind of the schedule's already promoted ahead of time, so people know when it is, and then you just kind of like, all right, okay, let's jump in. And like maybe we know ahead of time who's joining, and maybe we don't, and then we just kind of go with it. But again, it's just kind of like a quick like 20-minute broadcast in the afternoon would be the idea. So opposed to like a full 90-minute broadcast, which would be kind of like what the Paradigm Shift News is, but figuring out how to combine those elements into the Team Roundtable. So yeah. But yeah, no, that's good.
And I agree with Manders. An hour and a half is a good time. An hour is not long enough, but 2 hours is too much for most people, I think.
Good.
Commit to.
Yeah. No, good to know. So cool. Okay, Tamara, anything else at the moment? And just as more stuff comes up, just let me know, because I think there's gonna be more ideas coming. So okay, cool. This is helping though. Thank you, everyone. Like again, I wanted to do this not only to update to you guys, but to be able to receive the feedback. So we're like literally crystallizing ideas here in the production meeting. So cool. Okay, Matthew still is in the circle, if Matthew would like to share, and then we can also just kind of brainstorm in general for anybody else who has more ideas popping up. So Matthew, go ahead. We'll pass the talking stick over to you.
Yes. Well, what I really liked about, I didn't attend to that many, but every time I attended, the main thing that was amazing for me was the reminders. Like when you live your day-to-day life, you don't think, all of these things, but sometimes you tend to forget them, even if you meditate, even if you do everything. So to be in contact, to just be hearing people that talk about like dreams or just energy or anything in particular, I find it very nurturing in your daily routine as something like a healthy habit to just like connect with people that experience or see the world in the same way. So for me, that was a big thing. I just had a little idea. I don't know if it's fitting, but I really like, it took me forever to learn to meditate, and I find it's something like very hard. So it'd be amazing if some people that are very comfortable and had a lot of years of experience to do a little broadcast on some kind of technique, meditation technique, and the basic idea of, and so people could like ask questions and share their concern about these techniques or their own experience, because it can be sometimes very hard for something that is starting meditating to get the hang of it, and to be able to express it to someone who has more experience doing this. I find would have been very helpful for me when I started. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. And absolutely, I agree. I think, again, for people who are tuning into our broadcast, like there's many reasons as to why they do it, but you're right. Like a part of it is literally just to kind of be able to like receive, again, like the media medicine of being in the space of other people who have these shared visions, who have like a similar, like-minded concept of how they sort of think about the world and everything like that. So absolutely, like writing that down, like the reminders and the routines, those are incredibly powerful, because we have to, again, really understand that people are kind of going throughout their busy weeks and everything like that. But to have that spot, even just once a week, where we can just gather as a community and gather as a tribe, that can fill people up like for that entire next week, even if it is just a 90-minute broadcast. So again, like that's part of the magic that we are creating, keeping in mind that, again, you know, with the content we're posting on the website and the broadcast, our objective is to be inspirational, educational, and entertaining. So finding that medium where, you know, we're talking about conscious content, but it's like, it's fun, it's engaging, it has like this like taste to it that makes you want more of it. So yeah, and really just kind of like doing it with that professional standard that will show people that, like, you know, like this is something that we're taking seriously, and we have the skills and the technology to be able to do it in a way that's just going to kind of really impress people, and kind of like, you know, be something that I think a lot of people probably don't see too often. So again, you know, like this is like, I went to school, part of my schooling was literally broadcast production. So just as context for everyone, like this is where a lot of me doing this also comes from, was like me like learning how to do broadcasts, like, you know, X number of years ago in school. But that was obviously not through the internet. That was like in a studio with cameras and a switcher board and everything like that. But here we have equally, if not even more, opportunities to really get creative with how we're doing our live broadcasts. So yeah, okay, cool. Matthew, thank you again. And I also, the idea of having like people being able to ask specific questions about specific topics, I want to be able to work that into our team roundtables, where part of the sectioned off part of the roundtable would also be like on a specific topic, and maybe we can tailor that so it's not just the topic, but it's also the opportunity for people in the audience to ask questions to the roundtable for us to be able to practice answering, opposed to us just kind of preaching, or not that we are, but just kind of like, you know, just talking about it. But to give people the chance to ask questions might be something a little bit more practical, because again, you know, we want things that will serve people. We want things that will be practical and you know, something that they can integrate into their life, opposed to, it's fun to just kind of hear people talk and get those paradigm shifting ideas, but, you know, giving them something where it's going to answer a specific question, or it's going to give them a certain skill set that they'll be able to implement through the week. Those things I think are again the value that we're providing for the community as well. So yeah, I think just making a scheduled topic for people in the audience to ask questions about within the team roundtable closer to the end of it could be something. The challenge there is just making sure that we literally we would have to almost like put a time cap on it, where it's like, okay, we have 20 minutes to talk about this, go, sort of thing, opposed to just being like, okay, we'll start talking about this and then it's like an hour later sort of thing. So it's kind of that little style that's a bit different, knowing that it's like, okay, we only have 20 minutes to talk about it, and then so we as a team can kind of be like, you know, answering a question, and then one person can be like, okay, this is what I think, and then boom, pass the talking stick. So it's kind of like a relay exercise in a sense, which again is good practice for us as well. But yeah, no, again, Matthew, thank you for the feedback. I definitely agree with that. So Matthew, is there anything else you want to add at the moment?
Yeah, no, just thank you. And for the question, I really like the idea, because just a little experience when I did my yoga teacher training. Most of the time, like all of the class had the same question for the teacher, but there were only one or two person that would ask it. But still, everyone at the end were like, "Oh yeah, I was really wondering about that," but would not like dare to ask or anything. So most of the time, even if someone asking the question, most people listening would find that interesting, or were kind of half wondering behind of their mind, like about that. So yeah, just that.
Yeah, definitely. And again, you know, I think with our broadcasts, part of the value again is having that interaction between the audience. So opposed to them just showing up and watching and chit-chatting, they're still a part of it by contributing to the chat and again asking questions, which would prompt discussion. I like that part, because then people are going to like show up to that part of the broadcast and be like, oh, you know, like I do have a question about this. So I like that. I like that little shift between us just talking about a topic opposed to us having a topic for the audience to ask questions about and then for us to talk about it in response to those questions. I feel it's a little bit different, and that's going to help kind of make sure that we're delivering things that the audience actually, you know, wants in that sense, because they're literally asking for it. So yeah, I like that idea, Matthew. Thank you. That's good feedback. Okay. Rick, go ahead. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that anybody's thought of this, right? And I don't know how many people in your group that know of NLP, like neuro-linguistic programming, and what kind of a modality that really is. But if you think of somebody like Abraham Hicks, right, who is constantly what she does is essentially reframe every situation. So when you have a problem, like when somebody's presenting a problem, the ability to reframe it, and there are other tools and techniques to utilize too, to be able to reframe a situation to create a compelling future, a new compelling future, whether that's, you know, a swish pattern. There's so many different techniques that can be utilized using NLP, and but most people aren't really aware that it is those the language patterns that we're using. So the opportunity for someone, you know, in a broadcast is having a challenge, the ability to reframe that challenge and or give them a tool instantaneously to create a new compelling future. That is the idea behind what I'm suggesting, utilizing some of these other tools, whether it's a swish pattern, a belief change, you know, things like that.
Yeah. I think something like that we can kind of like format into the broadcast, where again, as we're kind of like going around the round table, it would also be an opportunity for people to not only share like, yeah, new things they're working on, but maybe intentionally show up to the round table with something of insight to be able to offer to the table, you know? So it's like, this is something that maybe I read about in a book, or this is like a little paradigm shifting thing, or this is something that I experienced, and then to literally just be able to share that with the knowing that there's going to be people out there that are going to benefit from that little shift in perspective. Or it could be something where, again, it might be something where it's kind of worked into the individual person doing like a reading, where there may be a chance for them to kind of like work that into their reading that they're also giving as well, based on what the reading is or what the specific question might be that they're responding to. So, yeah, I like that idea of just kind of like encouraging people in the roundtable to show up with that intention of being able to have those paradigm shifting perspectives that they can offer, either directly in response to a question or just kind of as a general thing that a lot of people will still be able to relate to. So does that make sense, Rick? Does that are we kind of on the same page here, or do you want to?
No, you're definitely on the same page. It's just different languages, right? I mean, there is the Tower of Babel that we're knocking down here. So connecting, making it relevant for everyone, and being consistent with shifting the message to your best life now, or however you want to put it, however it is put. There's all of these tools, all these different modalities, you know, whether it's your readings, Reiki, Qi, Gong, and I think you were just specifically talking about doing readings in this one for this specific format, and I was making it more odd.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, that helps. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, and again, and I think that is something where, yeah, we can kind of like merge that into just kind of like an advice offering opportunity. Because again, you know, I think there's something really powerful here where for the people in the co-op, you know, we have the opportunity to really serve as like a counsel. And for people in the audience to really be able to develop that relationship where, you know, you guys who are coming into these broadcasts are going to start being a part of, they're going to be like recurring characters, recurring personalities within the community. So, you know, like keeping that in mind, like that's a really powerful thing where you can kind of have this relationship where people can show up and they're going to be like, oh, sweet, you know, like I feel really honored to be able to like ask for the guidance about something from the council, from the round table and stuff like that. And then again, that's going to help encourage other people to be a part of that round table and to kind of like just really structure and formulate what it means to be, you know, a member of this team roundtable that it is that we're creating. So sweet. Yeah, go team roundtable. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's keep passing around. This is good feedback, and we'll get close to wrapping this production meeting in the next little bit. We still have Gemini and Jenna, who recently joined. So just as context for those of you who joined, we're basically going around the circle talking about what do you value about live broadcast, as well as just kind of brainstorming potential ideas for elements that we can integrate into future live broadcasts for the Paradigm Shift Central team broadcast that we're doing. And there was some stuff that we talked about earlier, but go ahead and just say whatever's on your mind. And if it's already been said, that's not a problem at all. So Jenna, we'll pass it over to you, and thank you for joining.
Hi guys, happy rising. I hope everyone's having a beautiful day. But I think the beauty of the live videos is just the authenticness. You know, like you get so real. You know, there is no editing. You know, when you're doing the live broadcasting, they're truly seeing Jen when I'm doing it, and they get a better idea of my personality, you know, through, you know, my bloopers and all. You know, they see me, and that's why people fall in love with, you know, what people do, is because you are falling in love with the personality. You are falling in love with the character. You are falling in love with the person. It's the energy I'm admitting that is going to attract people to me. You know, like, yes, it's my content, but it's my energy and my character that attracts them to me. And then it's my content, you know? So, because the content that I'm speaking of, they can find that anywhere, you know? It's a Google search, it's a YouTube video, you know? You can find that anywhere. So it's really just who I am. I am selling myself. I am 100% selling myself. And, you know, so are you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenna. And absolutely, I agree. That's a huge point that I'll just hit home a little bit further, just for everybody tuned in here, because we were talking about that, the value of live broadcast and the authenticity, and really just reminding everyone here, as Jenna was saying, is that, you know, we, like, for everyone here, you are your own brand, and really let that like be something that you own, right? And we've talked about this in the past in previous productions, but really just that important reminder that, you know, how you show up, how you present yourself, how you work with yourself off camera and off camera is essentially like what you're creating to be able to offer to your audience. So I think Jenna is exactly right about that, you know, people can find this content anywhere, but it's the relationship that they have between you that allows them to feel that excitement to be able to learn alongside and to be able to like continue to develop like that friendship and that connection. And that's a very, very powerful thing. So yeah, just keep that in mind, you know, like how are you creating yourself into your own brand with you still being authentic, you know, but at the same time still play around with it authentically. So yeah, I think I think again, you know, just encouraging people, for people who are kind of feeling called to do like the Instagram lives, side note in here, make sure that you're creating a schedule when you do your Instagram lives. Yeah, it's still cool to just kind of like do them on the fly, but really honor the fact that people are going to kind of like be, you know, out and about on their day. So if you have a schedule where you're just like every day at this time, I'm going live, then, you know, people can show up and meet you there in that space. And yeah, routines are so powerful when it comes to, you know, being the primordial notification. Like, we have the benefits of using a universal clock system, so you don't need to worry about, like, you know, that reminder about your broadcast reaching them if they already internally know that broadcast is taking place at this certain time. So again, just hitting home the emphasis on routines. So but yeah, Jenna, thank you again. I think that's just good more good clarification on why we're doing these. So
Just like dating, you're selling yourself. Oh,
yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
leave it at that.
Absolutely. And it's
Thank
great.
you.
And it's great practice to see how we show up in those moments. And oftentimes we'll be surprised. You know, we might kind of show up in a broadcast and by the end of it, we'll be like, oh my God, like I just did that. Like, that was awesome. You know, like I was like in theta. I was in theta state there. Again, you know, theta is kind of like that creative flow state. So getting into that on a broadcast is great. So, I mean, even for me, even during these production meetings, like, yeah, I'm talking to you guys, but a lot of it is just kind of being in that space where the conversation and the flow and the ideas is there. And usually what stops that is kind of like our own uncertainty, our own unfamiliarity, or parts of our ego that are just like, oh, you're going to embarrass yourself or something like that. But yeah, you know, I think it's a very transformational thing to just even put yourself on camera in the first place. So huge thumbs up to everybody here who, again, you know, as conscious media creators, you guys are breaking some powerful like, you know, molds within yourself to be able to really like burst out into who you are. So it's very powerful. Okay, let's keep passing it around, and I think Erica, if you want to go next, and then we'll just open up for any additional stuff at the end and wrap it up after that. So Erica, go ahead, and Jenna, if you can just mute your mic.
Hey guys. Sorry I'm a little late. I'm just kind of getting in, so
No worries.
I've really I think for sure the impact that, you know, just media can have in general, just for me personally, that's what has introduced me into, you know, this whole realm of, you know, the not norm, you know what I mean? So I think being able to, you know, like, again, be that avenue, like that bridge that connects someone to like an answer that, like Jenna said, they were probably already going to find it. I think things are going to happen anyways, you know, like whether they happen through us or another way, like people are going to get a message, however it is that they're supposed to get it. But I think, you know, it's really remarkable to just kind of watch the process of things revealing themselves. And so whether it's like through conversation or even like I'll be watching something and out of nowhere, it'll just be like, everything just switches, and then the video is almost like it's talking specifically to me, like I'm connected into it, like it's reading my brain, and it's literally reacting to whatever's going on, you know what I mean? So it's very real, and I feel like again, for us to be part of that process for somebody else, it's almost like being a channel, you know what I mean? And so to get ourselves out of the way and to play that game of, you know, conscious media creating, you know, is sometimes like we only see it from one perspective, when in reality, you know, we're probably about to open doors for a lot of people who are probably just waiting for this message to get out there. So I think, like, again, like using this community as a prime example, it was so many things that I was like, oh snap, this exists, you know, like this is real, you know. And then like the more that I started to dig around, it was like so many things that started flooding in, as far as like, wow, you know, just not only confirmation, but just almost like a very welcoming, like almost as if like a virtual hug from strangers is, you know, like that's the best way that I could put it, because it was very comforting to feel like, you know, I'm not alone in this, and I can go and ask questions. I can connect with people. I can read about things. I can watch this. I can, you know, like stay close to this fire that, you know, seems to be literally fueling my environment, and it's very real, but nobody else is talking about it, you know? So I think to just be a part of, you know, like creating that sort of content is super important. And yeah, I hope that's really all I have on that. Oh.
That's wonderful, Erica. Thank you so much. I love the main points that you hit there. Again, just like reflecting on the general impact of media, that in itself is like so important, and just the idea of being the bridge for ideas and information. You never know like when that person's going to stumble across your video. And again, like keeping in mind that for us as media creators, you know, the internet is still the synchronistic playground. And so if we're kind of thinking in the back of our head, like, should I make that post? Should I make that video? Like, if you're really feeling it, do it. And then there's going to be that likelihood that somebody on the other end is going to be like, oh my God, like that's exactly what I needed to hear. And then suddenly that just reaffirms for you, be like, holy crap, like this isn't just about me. Like this is something bigger. This is like a part of like a bigger web that's connecting us. And so I'm just kind of like playing a part within it. And yeah, I love that idea of opening more doors than we know. And again, I think just the power of, for us as creators, to really have that intention of showing up in service, because that kind of sets the vibration ahead of time, and that kind of creates that portal for the right people to be synchronized like with our content, be it live or other ways, at the right time. And I love that idea of the broadcast really feeling like a virtual hug from a community, from strangers. That's so powerful. And you're right. Like, again, you know, we've already been kind of in this circle for a bit for everyone here. You've been a part of the conscious community for years now. But then there's going to be those people that are brand new to a lot of this stuff. And for them to kind of stumble upon something of this similarity, like that, you can just imagine what that would mean to them, to feel that sense of familiarity, that sense of welcoming, that sense of comfort, that sense of family and tribe. Like, those type of things can totally change like a person's life. So that's where, you know, like, no pressure, but for us, when we're doing our broadcast, our content, like, we are creating opportunities that can literally change people's future, that can literally change people's lives, just by maybe changing the way they think, or by inviting them to continue to be connected, by calling them into action. It's just really, really, really beautiful. So, and yeah, and I like that idea of thinking about the broadcast as being like a fire, you know, as much as we're talking about these metaphors of like round tables. Again, that same metaphor of like sitting around the fire is equally as applicable as well. So maybe there's like a little fire chalice in the middle of the round table that we'll just make sure that that's there within the visualization. So, but yeah, Erica, I think again, that's really great feedback. And yeah, I think overall, just from everybody here, thank you. This definitely gives me more to think about. So I just want to be able to check in with everybody here. What we're going to be working towards is our broadcast this coming Thursday, which is, I think, is that like the 31st? It's like right at the end of the month. I'm just going to double check that. But that's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's actually going to be, yeah, January 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, that's going to be a Paradigm Shift Team Roundtable. Unless I decide to change the name, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I think Team Roundtable works, or even just Roundtable to sort of remove the redundancy, because at this point it's obvious that it's a team. We'll see. I'm kind of, if anybody has any like totally just radical ideas for names for broadcasts just in general, please feel free to throw those out. But I just want to be able to check in with everyone here who would be able and interested in being a part of that broadcast. And then during the time leading up to it, we as a co-op we'll be able to kind of like work a little bit ahead of time, so that we'll know like who's showing up as like a featured reader for that day, or who's specifically already showing up with something of value to offer. So again, you know, as a member of the co-op, you have exclusive access to these broadcasts, and these broadcasts are a way for you to get your message out there for an audience, for you to be able to develop that relationship and invite people back. So it's an incredible amount of value that we are creating there. So again, the invitation is there for each of us. And so I just want to be able to get feedback for this coming Thursday. Who would be available and interested in being there on air as a part of the broadcast at 8 p.m. So if anybody just wants to just like say I, please go ahead, and I'm just gonna like quickly take notes.
I'll be there.
What day is this?
Thursday, January 31st, next Thursday.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I probably won't be able to because I'm working.
Okay. All right, and did
I think I don't know. 8 o'clock Texas time is what? 7 o'clock? Yeah. I think
is it? 7. Anybody got a confirmation on that? What time zone is Texas?
I think this is Central, isn't it?
Central, so it's an hour behind. So yeah, 7
yeah.
p.m. Yeah.
7. Yeah, I can tune in at 7, but I will have to get out off the call early.
Okay. Okay, so we can keep that in mind. All right.
Yeah.
All
but
right.
Well, I'm completely available. I live, breathe, and eat you guys. I'm here.
Okay, Jenna's here. Okay, anybody else just wants to confirm intentions for aiming to be there for Thursday so that we can know ahead of time? Lori, Manders, did you guys? Sorry, I'm not sure if I.
Are you saying at night? Are you saying
at night,
at night?
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I won't be able. I can't commit at night.
You cannot commit at night. Is that a regular thing for you, Lori?
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't want to be popping. I got kids that I right now I'm focusing on them at night.
Yeah. And
I
just
will be able to randomly, but
okay. And just as feedback for like time wise, it does later in the night open things up for you at all, or are you kind of done at a certain point in the night? Like
oh, good one. I guess 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Eastern
Yeah.
Standard Time would open things up for you.
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean,
Totally.
if the broadcast is going in from 8 till 10, if it is like, you know,
I
like
could definitely pop in.
you
Oh,
might be able to
yeah.
pop in. Okay. Okay,
Oh,
we'll
for
keep
sure.
we'll keep that in mind. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. And Manders, did you say if you might be available for those?
Yeah, I should be available.
Okay. Okay, that works for you then. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that
And-
works for me.
Okay, cool. And Matthew or Rick, anybody else just checking in? 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday. How does that work for you? Just let me know.
Sorry, I'm working all the way till like 11. So
Okay, and that's a regular thing for you, Matthew?
oh no, as I said, my schedule is like all over the place all the
Okay.
time.
Okay, so
So yeah,
week to week, we'll
it
see.
depends on the
Mine is
day.
regular. It's a freak thing that I'm working that Thursday night. It's not
Okay.
usual for
Okay.
me.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, and Rick
Pacific Standard Time.
would be
Wait, you're shooting for 8 East Coast.
5 p.m.
Yeah,
West
so
Coast.
5 p.m. Thursday evening. I'd definitely be. I'm gonna definitely tune in,
Okay.
and I'd be able to participate in any way, shape, or form if you need help in any way. Not that you need help. I'm just wondering how I could be of service. How I could.
Yeah, so I mean, again, like Rick, if you've probably have you seen the past team roundtables that we've done in the past, Rick?
I have not seen the roundtable, no.
Okay.
But that's the reality.
Okay, so that's totally cool. And again, you know, we're gonna kind of create like a bit of a routine for each broadcast so people can kind of know like what's happening and even when to jump in if they want to. But again, you know, just being there, holding space, and I want to be able to just like kind of use the broadcast as an opportunity for people to just kind of again share the ways in which they are helping shift consciousness, to be able to offer some like insight and perspectives to the audience. And also just to within this coming Thursday, I think we'll also just talk about I'll probably brainstorm this a little bit more, but also just talking about, you know, the importance of conscious media and why it is that we are creating it, and then we'll have that little discussion as a team there as well. So Rick, I'll make sure that everyone's got a little bit more idea in terms of like the routine for the broadcast going into it, so that it won't be just entirely brand new. But yeah, if you're there, you're more than welcome to attend, and your holding space is super appreciated. So yeah, we can play it by ear. Okay, and Arita, you're here. I just wanted to say hello, and I know that that's like, I guess 8 a.m. for you in Australia. I think 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if anybody in Australia wants to join, that's totally cool. Okay, and let's Arita, I'm not sure if you want to add in some more stuff before we close off, but we were just talking about what do you value about live broadcasts. If you're there and you did just want to add something, please feel free. And I also just want to create some time to just answer any questions that people might have. And so other than that, I just wanted to mention in terms of live broadcasts, so there's a few ways to do live broadcasts. You can obviously, a lot of people are just familiar with doing them through their mobile devices, and doing them through Instagram is definitely something that people are becoming more familiar with. And of course, through Instagram, there is the opportunity for you to be able to invite people into your broadcast quite easily. The thing with Instagram is that you really want to make sure that you're saving those broadcasts, especially if you're putting a lot of intention into them. So make sure that you get some practice in terms of saving them so that you know how to do that. And then what you might want to do is actually save those recordings and then upload them to IGTV so that you can keep them there as a record, since after 24 hours, the live streams disappear on Instagram. And also to make sure that going into your broadcasts, if you are doing like say a 30 or 45 minute broadcast, make sure that you have enough room on your phone. This is kind of of like state the obvious, but sometimes it can happen where you might do an awesome broadcast and then you go to save it and it'll be like, oh no, I didn't have enough room on my phone, and then you lose it, sort of thing. You can still get it back afterwards, but it's really complicated and involves like some extra techie stuff. So again, the Instagram is kind of like a good introductory way to just kind of like be able to do live broadcasts on the fly, as well as through Facebook. Through Facebook, there's a few different methods. I was mentioning yesterday with Rick about BeLive.tv. I recommend people check that out as an option. Of course, there are other options such as using the Zoom platform, which you can connect to your Facebook, where you can have like multiple people within picture-in-picture on the broadcast. Other more advanced forms of broadcast that I'll let you guys know about, there's one website called lola.tv, app.lola.tv, and I'm going to post it into the work notes as well. I recommend people check it out. It's still in beta. It's a little bit, it's kind of like, it may be kind of not exactly what everyone's looking for right now, but what's really cool about it is that with some additional techniques, there is a way to actually like broadcast from your computer into your Instagram feed. So it's a little bit more advanced, and not a lot of people are doing it. And I want to be able to play with that in the future, where we'll be able to kind of like rebroadcast content and have it stream through my Instagram live, kind of like as an automated thing. But again, that's app.lola, LOOLA.tv. I just want you to know about this. This is kind of like a new app, and I've played with it, and I recommend people checking it out. Other things that people are going to just to be aware of, but this is like stuff where the more advanced stuff will come later, and I will be giving you guys tutorials on how to get things set up for these as best as I can. But for those looking to do more advanced types of broadcasts, you're going to want to start looking into a software called OBS, which stands for Open Broadcast Software. And this is where with the proper setup, what you can do is you can kind of create like different layouts on your screen. You can have like your picture in the corner, and then you can kind of have like additional graphics on the side. Again, if you're thinking of people who like stream video games, this is usually what they do, where they have like the video game and then they have a picture of themselves in the corner. So you can kind of really get into some advanced production aspects with it. And also within another website called Restream, you can actually restream through OBS to Restream and then to YouTube and Facebook and also Twitch simultaneously, which is like the multi-stream, which is again what we do as well. So I just want to be able to put those concepts out there so that you can at least know that they exist, and then we'll start getting into the more advanced stuff as we go. But again, you know, I just encourage people to just kind of play with the Facebook Live, play with the Instagram Live, to really kind of like pick their platform. Like that's the one thing with Facebook and Instagram, is that you can't go live to both of them at the same time unless you're literally using two devices and recording yourself live at the same time. So really kind of like picking and choosing your platform is going to be really important. You know, don't do like half of it on Facebook, half of it on Instagram. Kind of like focus it as much in one place as you can. And again, you know, I kind of use Facebook as a secondary platform, but I still kind of have it there knowing that people are still going to find it, but really focusing more on the Instagram has been definitely the thing that I encourage and invite other people to do as well. So I just want to be able to open things up. Does anybody have any questions in general about live broadcasts that they just want to be able to ask? Maybe just please feel free to do that, and then we'll get close to wrapping this up. And before we wrap it up, we'll just end with a slight just like connecting with our breath in a moment of oneness, and we'll visualize ourselves around the table, and then we'll conclude it. So anybody have any questions or just any feedback or gratitude that they want to express, now would be the time, and then we'll wrap up this broadcast. So
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Infinite gratitude, y'all. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for holding space, you guys.
Good energies, everybody.
We're doing some big
Hello,
work.
hello.
Oh, there's Rita. Hi, Rita. Awesome. Okay. All right, so just double checking. Nobody has any questions at the moment, but if you guys want to reach me on the side or need to reach me one-on-one, just let me know. Send me a DM ahead of time, and I can make room to meet you in my digital office. And other than that, you know, have a great weekend. Obviously, again, you know, make sure that you're taking time to really reward yourself for the work that you've been doing this week. Spend time with your family. Go out, get some social interactions. That's going to help you show up next week with even more energy. And so, yeah, just really honoring that. Make sure you take time to step away, because, you know, if you can get good at the rest, then you'll get great at the rest. if you understood what I said there. So, okay, let's just do a very short micro meditation here. So I just invite everyone to just gently straighten up their spine, roll their shoulders a couple times, connect with their breath. Deep inhale through the nose, and gentle exhale through the nose or the mouth. And as you continue to breathe in this moment, gently, I want you to imagine all of us together here within this broadcast, and even those who aren't currently in the broadcast but are still a part of the team, to just imagine us sitting around this round table, gathered here with purpose and intention. And so as you sit here at this round table, just take a moment to look each person in the eyes, to gently smile, to gently nod, to acknowledge them, to acknowledge the unique gifts that they have to bring, the unique talents that they have to bring, the unique perspectives that they have to bring to this table. And in the middle of this table, you can just imagine a little bowl with a little flame on it, some sort of magical chalice, and seeing that flame as, again, the one flame that unites us. Acknowledging that that flame is the same flame on every candle. And even though we may be different candles, we all share the same flame. We are all the same light. So just take a moment here, breathe into your heart, feel the inspiration, feel the connection, feel the community, feel the bigger story that we are weaving here together. The story that is calling people into their purpose, helping people activate into their potential, allowing people to become the light guardians that they are. So just breathe into your heart here. Absorb and receive the energy and the love that we are creating here as a team. And just imagining that from this round table, there's just a pulse of love being sent out with each breath into the world, into the dream. So just stay here in this moment of oneness, just for a few breaths together in silence. And with your hands gently just placed over your chest, on your heart, again, just thanking yourself for being here, thanking everyone else for being here, allowing your breath to still be felt in this moment, and giving yourself the reminder that everything you need, you already have, that everything you need is within arm's reach, and you are exactly where you need to be in order to get to where you're going. So remember to trust. You are part of a very, very magical divine process, and you are seen. And thank you so much for doing this amazing work. So gently nodding to everyone here, acknowledging you, and receiving the acknowledgement in return, receiving the love in return. So aloha. And with that said, you can gently just open your eyes and return your awareness to the space around you. And so thank you again, everyone, for being a part of this amazing production meeting. For those of you listening into the future, thank you so much. If you are interested in joining the Conscious Media Co-op, just make sure that you send me a message or leave a comment on YouTube. And again, we will be sure to get back to you in the future. And stay tuned for more updates as they continue to unfold. This is going to be a very exciting week that we move into. February is going to be so exciting. And again, I'm just super grateful to have everyone here supporting each other as a team, as a tribe. So let us explode out there into the world and share our gifts and our magic wherever we go, and we will meet back here again on Monday. So with that said, everyone here, please feel free to unmute themselves and send lots of good vibes to everybody tuned in. We love you, everyone. So whoa, go team, whoa, oh my god, yeah, go shifters,
Amazing.
So
everything.
Namaste.
Namaste, fam. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Much love and light, everybody. Happy Friday.
Thank you so much, everyone. keep on howling and keep it shifty. We'll see you in the future. Much love. Thank you again.